we kind of pulled up the LuLaRoe map, which was way more rustic than it is now. And we're like, well, there's really not many people on the East Coast. Maybe we should try to do this. And we talked about it for a night. And then the next day we ordered all of the inventory. I'd never seen the clothes. I had never been to a pop-up. We just were like, we can, worst case scenario, we can just get rid of the clothes. Like, this felt like a kind of a low risk situation. I mean, not that it's not a lot of money, but it felt like we could make it work. So our goal at the time was to make $400 a month. We were 2 years into an adoption process, and we had actually moved houses to be able to afford the adoption. And then we had run out of our adoption money because it had gone on so long. So we were like, okay, well, we need to make $400 a month to pay their monthly fees. And so that was why we did it. And so I did a couple of pop-ups, and I did my launch. Sorry, I should go back and say that. I did my launch, and like my people came and they supported me, and it was amazing. And then I decided, so that was in September-ish when we were launching. And then in October, November, December, back then you could cruise qualify in 3 months. And so I was like, well, we should probably try to cruise qualify because we'd never been on a cruise. It seemed like a good idea. So we did it in 3 months, which basically meant I was doing about 3 pop-ups a week. And before that, y'all, I was a homeschool mom, like full-time. Like that was me. I was at the YMCA every day because it kept me sane. And I would do like back-to-back classes. They would be like, can you go find Susan? Like, she's been working out for 2 hours and her childcare is over. So like that was me, like working out, homeschooling. That was all I did. And then I made stuff and I sold it and made no money, but I enjoyed selling stuff. So I would like make crochet things or whatever and sell them. So sorry, that was a lot of information about me. So anyways, we did we cruise qualified, and then Brooks kind of, came with me on the cruise, and it was like our eyes were open to, this is more than just me selling clothes. And so meeting Mark and Deanne and some of the family and realizing what they mean when they say the culture was for us just like a whole nother level to our business. So when I am encouraging people to do in-person pop-ups, I'm not saying it without having done it. Like we definitely did a season where I was just doing pop-ups. Like the clothes stayed in my car. I would do a pop-up 3 nights a week. I just told Brooks this, and I'll say this in complete transparency, that their last fall, not this fall, but the last fall, I missed all of Ben's flag football games because I did a Saturday pop-up every Saturday while we were trying to cruise qualify. And I feel weird saying that because that was me. That was the mom. Like I didn't miss things. I went to everything. But we knew we had to make some sacrifices for us to find the success. So I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying I'm never saying anything lightly if I tell you to do it because I've done it. So we just had to pick and choose what sacrifices we were okay with making. So our team grew pretty organically. We never have really recruited. I recruited my sister. Julie Cash is my sister, and I would, the first 4 or 5 pop-ups, I would drive home and be like, okay, I just have to call you again and like say, I really think you'd be really good at this, and I really think you should do this. And, it was like, I actually asked her to be my partner, and she turned me down. So she's doing fine, just fine now. But we just have chosen to not really recruit. There's some like phrases I won't say. I won't say join my team, or some of those things that we kind of get bombarded with on social media. I use words like, who's coming with me on my next adventure, or who's going to be in California with me next time. So I think there's really natural and organic ways that we can build a team. Brooks has helped me work out the 3 things that he thinks help me be successful. I had to write them down, sorry. The first one is so obvious, and it sounds easy, but he was like, you really need to make sure you tell them that it's not easy for you. Is doing something every day for your business, whether it's wearing LuLaRoe, photographing it and posting it. There's a lot of days by the end of the day where I'm like, oh, I did not take a picture. I need to do that. It seems so little, but I really do think the consistency of posting those photos is really great. The other thing he tells me that is important is that I feel like this sounds manipulative, but it's not. It's just that you're having a good time and you make it look fun and other people want to do this with you. So from that's kind of a team building aspect, is that what you're doing, they can see you doing the hustle, but you're having a good time. And my friend Lisa Jones said something tonight about her mom had come home from a somewhat slow pop-up, and she said, the whole time she was unloading, it could have been, oh, I can't believe I just did all this work and now I'm moving all these clothes. And instead she was just receiving like this attitude of gratitude and thinking, I just made $50 an hour. And by the end of her unloading the car, she was in such a good place. So I just think like kind of your mindset before and after is so important. I would try really hard, and I know you guys have heard this, but not getting wrapped up in, well, I know she had 100-piece party. That's not how Mark built the business. He built it for you to do the 175 pieces, like that you can order 175 pieces. He reminded us of this at our meeting in Phoenix this week. And I think it was such a good history to go back and remember. To order 175 pieces, you're doing 2 pop-ups a week, selling 20 pieces at each pop-up, and then that extra 15, I think, is for your hostess incentives. So the business was never built for you to be doing these gigantic parties or if you're not doing the gigantic parties, that you feel like less than. So I love that he reminded us of that, and I have had a lot of 20-piece parties. So I don't think you have to be blowing it out of the gate to be successful. I just look like I'm having a lot of fun the whole time I'm doing those 20-piece parties. And then the last thing, you guys have probably heard this a lot, but the cruise qualifying, I tell my girls, because I have a lot of girls who say they don't cruise, and I'm like, well, honestly, it's not about the cruise. It's about selling 100 pieces a week. And that is what makes you attractive, and that's what makes you look successful to the people following you. So if you're not a cruiser, don't get hung up on that. It's those numbers and that amount of hustle will really drive you to a successful place, and people notice that. So those are my 3 things that I feel like they're so simple, but I really can't say that I've done anything that's a lot bigger than that to get us to where we are now. I didn't really say this. I kind of stopped at the cruise, but after about 10 months, my husband came home from an IT job. So we've been doing this full time for almost a year. And then, it's just been amazing, and we're super grateful. I still homeschool 1 kid. 2 are in school now, and I homeschool 1. And then I love this part of it, is mentoring women and getting to know y'all. So, Michelle, I can't even see your name. Are you a picture, or are you just a person? Oh, wait,
I'm just like a square with a little profile in it.
Okay, do you want to ask me questions, or was that like what you wanted me to say?
Yeah, I know you, when we were talking in Instant Message, you were talking about, you wanted to talk a little bit about growing your team. And I know that a lot of my team members are looking forward to doing more of that.
Yeah.
So if you can hit on that, maybe just a touch more, because I think people have a hard time approaching people. And Also, if you can, I was listening to your YouTube video about how when you started, you literally just wanted $400 a month. So if you can share your level within the company, you don't necessarily have to do paycheck. I know Brittany, like every person, she's like, I want to pay Deanne and ask your paycheck. So you totally don't have to go into that. You can go into whatever you would like, but if you can just how you've progressed throughout and what you are now, because I didn't share that with any of them.
Okay.
How you've just totally surpassed that $400 a month. I think that could definitely be encouraging to some as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That helps. So, last November we made coach, and then in June we made mentor. So that's, I mean, I'm assuming you guys all know all the structure. So we're one of the mentors. We'll be going to Guatemala in September, October with Mark and Deanne. We'll get to see some of the production facilities that are, I think, really making a lot of Carlys. So I'm excited about that. I think that's where maybe the first Carlys were made. I will try to smuggle them all out. So that's where we are. We replaced Brooks's income last November. He was making a great income. He had been in the same job for 16 years. And we replaced it with our bonus check and also our sales. So I really like that when he came home, we still had to sell a lot of clothes. He wasn't coming home just on our bonus check. Because we really think that the girls, like this is answering your next question, the girls that are going to find the most success are the ones that are selling. And I don't mean like Amazon selling, like it's like just where you're actually hustling and doing the business that Deanne created. And because that's what's appealing to people. And my number one thing that I think is really important for growing a team is that whatever you do can be replicated by other women. So, or now we have a lot of actually families that do this with us. So I don't ever want to do anything that another family cannot do. So it seems to me like they can, we have monthly open houses in our house. I try to sell in person once a week. We play around with Facebook I should say that. Brooks sells online because he gets it and he can do all that computer stuff. I play around with Facebook Live, and a lot of that is just for me to be able to help my team. Like, here's what has helped me or has not worked for me. But I think intentionally recruiting is hard, but intentionally selling is very attractive to people because they see the success that you can have. I know that's such a straightforward answer, and there's no like magic in it. I do have one thing though. Brooks got this out. We had a coach call tonight, and Deanne went through. So when we were in Phoenix, she had some of the early girls like Brittany talk about and Brittany may have gone through this with y'all. Sorry if it's a repeat. What were the like top 5 things that Deanne encouraged these brand new girls who Deanne was their sponsor. What were the 5 things that Deanne taught them? And she would just repeat to them over and over. And again, they're so simple, but I feel like important. So the first one is that you've got this, like, this is you can do it. You chose to do this. You bought the inventory. You can do this. Number 2 is that you keep it simple. I think a lot of us can I say Pinterest. I don't think most people say Pinterest. I think some people say Pinterest. So we try to like make our pop-ups perfect, right? But, put your clothes on a rack, put them on a hanger. It does not have to have, beautiful tablecloths and decor and swag bags and all that thing. People want to buy LuLaRoe. That's why they're coming to be with you. So keep it simple. Number 3 is give yourself permission to succeed. I think that's hard for some of us as women. It was for me. I remember one time I came home from leadership and a friend of mine said, I feel like you're actually owning your success. Like you're actually stepping into what's happening to you. And for somebody to recognize that was pretty powerful. So if you're, own it and step into it. Number 4, let no be your vitamin. For every no, I don't know how many no's I've been told for every yes. So we did a thing on our team page last week. We called it putting yourself out there. And it was just like, go do something that is so uncomfortable this week. And because if you're not putting yourself out there, who's going to say yes to you? And so girls were going to salons or they're going to gyms. They were really like going the extra mile to try and book something in person. Number 5 is stop waiting for everything to be perfect. I think we kind of went over that, but just that it does not have, has anybody ever gone through Instagram, the LuLaRoe Instagram feed all the way to the beginning? If you haven't, it's amazing, isn't it? Emily's nodding her head. It's amazing. So when you are just lying there in bed tonight, it takes a while because there's a lot of photos, but go all the way up to Dan's first post. And I think Amelia and 3 other people liked it. And there's 3 Tupperware bins on a kitchen table. And that's the first LuLaRoe pop-up. Not that that's what we should be doing, but I do think that it says a lot about let the clothes sell themselves. You're there to build relationships. It does not have to be a perfect situation. Okay, Michelle, how are we doing?
Perfect. The only other thing I would ask is just with the new round of Inspire trainings coming up, I think the other thing that you had told me about, you speaking about, was kind of the cruise and events. So maybe you can hit on the importance of being at those events. Why is that one of your passions?
So it's definitely a passion because I've never missed one. And I just think it's, that whole thing, treat your business like a business. It's, don't treat it like a hobby. And I know we have a lot of teachers on our team, so it's a really big deal for them to go to Inspire because it means they're taking time off or, whatever you do during the day. Finding childcare is not a small thing, but I would encourage you to go to any links that you can to not miss it because a good example is we have really good friends that are on our team. It's a husband and wife, and they've only ever heard Mark and Deanne on webinars, and then they invested, because it's a big investment to go East Coast to California in July. So they came to a convention, and her whole mindset has had a complete 180. She gets where Mark and Deanne are coming from because she's actually heard them in person. She has a trust with them now. And that was from a stage. It's not even they had a personal conversation, but just being there in person and really feeling what the heart of what they're doing is. So that's why I think getting to anything where you can meet, hear them in person is really important. The other thing is I was at a gal's house for one of her pop-ups, and we were talking about convention, and her shopper said, "Oh, you get to go to convention?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, let it be a big deal. People don't know what makes it a big deal, what you're going to. So they're all incredible marketing events. And so anything that you get to go to like that, people are watching you and they see you treating it like a very special thing. And they see you as being really special because you're there. So that's one of the reasons I think it's so important to go. The other thing is when I've been to events, the downtime, the bus time or eating lunch at Inspire or mingling in the hallway, a lot of my good ideas have come from other people's good ideas. And so, when you're in these teams, it's amazing because you have community. But then when you kind of get to be around other teams is when you get to feed off of their ideas. And Dan's the first one to say, don't reinvent the wheel. If somebody's got a good idea, share it and take it and run with it. So an example of that, Tori, and then Stacy, I'm forgetting everybody's names because I'm trying to say, Tammy and Stacy are up near y'all, I think. They all do themed open houses And for my personality, that doesn't do a lot. Like, I don't need you to have a Christmas party for me to come shop with you. But I was like, okay, well, I'll like try it. So I had a luau for my summer because I have a monthly open house. So I gave it a theme, and I put Dollar Tree stuff on my front, like leis, and I decorated the porch, and I had cute straws. And my like loyal customers ate it up. Like, they were putting the leis on, they were taking pictures, and I had no idea that was something that they would enjoy or would like entice them to come. So that's an example of something I learned from being at an event. So if you go to anything, though, my number one advice is to market it and take a ton of photos and make it a really big deal that you're there. Does that help?
Absolutely. I think we've got a younger team. I just started in October, so it's not been, I'm almost at a year, and a lot of new people. And so for them to make that investment to travel to an Inspire training, or even, I know convention's far away now that we just had it in July, but I just really wanted to impress upon them the importance from you and from other leaders.
Yeah.
Perfect. So does anybody have any questions for Susan before we sign off? I kind of asked in the chat if anybody did, and nobody's really asked anything just yet.
Was there a thing that I can look at?
Yeah, somebody said, congrats on becoming mentor. So awesome. But I think she accidentally sent it to me privately.
Right. Thank you.
And then in the beginning, they were saying, of course, we want to hear your story. Like, I love it. I could hear it over and over again. You're a few gals, homeschool inspiration. We've got some homeschoolers on our team. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I know that with you traveling and having your team hang out tonight, that this is taking time away from you. And so we appreciate you coming here. And there's one message. Let me just make sure it's not a question really fast before
Fine.
They reminded me to record because I always forget.
I do too.
Nope. Everybody's just saying thank you. There's like 7 thank you messages.
You have a big team. Golly, I didn't think you were going to say October.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to, as long as we hit volume this month, I've got one person who's just about to hit trainer. Well, 2 are hitting trainer this month as long as they get volume. And I think I'll hit coach this month, hopefully. So yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Super fun.
You guys are doing awesome.
I like the fact that you were talking about, when you promoted to coach, because we do see so many people coming into the business. Like, everybody talks about Phil and Danielle, and they've hit mentor in less than a year. And I think less than a year, maybe right at a year. And it's so easy to fall into that comparison trap. Mm-hmm. And then Brittany's always like, do you guys know how long it took me to get there? Like, it's different. The culture is.
Yeah. And so can I speak to that really quick?
Yeah.
And this is not me comparing my team to anybody else's, because everybody does their thing different. But our team, I would say in general, is not a fast growing team. I mean, when you have full-time moms or full-time teachers or whatever, there's only so many hours in the day. But the thing about it is, if you feel like you're in that comparison thing, if you're growing at a slower rate, it probably means that you're really attracting people that are like you. And so you're not going to have you're going to have drama, trust me, because you're on a team, but you're going to have people that are a lot like you. And so, I don't know, Brooks and I know it's really hard to hear it when you're not in that place, but we just try to encourage our girls all the time. There's no race. It's just you having your goal and like, where do you want to be? And then it not being a terrible experience getting to that goal, and then enjoying the people you're doing it with is such a, joy for us to be with our team. So, really like dig into those relationships with your girls, and the time thing, try to let that go as much as you can. I know it's really easier said than done, and we've been in that position, and I know what it's like and those feelings, but you will get there, and just enjoy your relationships with the girls that you are growing with.
I think it's great to hear from leaders who are at both ends of the spectrum, and then everything in between,
Yeah.
And as long as you're using those other people's successes to encourage yourself and not to bring yourself down, then that's a totally different story than comparison trap. But Rachel Constant was asking if Brooks worked the business with you before he left his IT job, or were you doing everything solo then?
No. I do not know how to read okay, wait, I shouldn't say that. I just don't know how to read the field report super well. And somebody's supposed to be in bed, sorry. And I also do not know how to load photos into files. I mean, like, y'all, I would still only be selling in person if it wasn't for Brooks. So I am an art major and he's a programmer, if that gives you a little bit of a idea. So he is super good at all the numbers and was helping me with all those things. And the catalyst for him coming home was we were challenged by someone to make a sacrifice that would help us go hard after our business for a year. And the only sacrifice that I felt like our family could make at the time was for him to come home from work. And so I came home, I was like, I kind of feel like you need to quit your job. And he did the next Monday. And his boss like kept giving him extensions. Like, I think you need to think about this a little longer. And I think you need to think about this longer. But so he's definitely, we have very different skill sets. We have some husbands on our teams where they're like the primary sellers and the women are gifted at the computer side. So I'm not being stereotypical. It's just our skill set. And we do a monthly, in case you're thinking about this, and not monthly, we do a morning meetup because we need to like communicate clearly. When you're working with your spouse, it can train wreck really, really fast. So we do a morning coffee meeting and talk about what we need to accomplish. So anyways, that's like a really small snippet of what it's like to work with your husband. But we do embrace what we're good at and not try to take it on for the other stuff. Does that help?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't think any other questions have come in. There's just more thank you. So we appreciate you talking with us.
Y'all, it was nice to see you guys. Thanks for doing this.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much and have a wonderful night.
Okay. Bye.